Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're serious about building a rock-solid financial foundation, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're diving straight into decoding one of India's most trusted wealth creation tools. I'm talking about the Public Provident Fund, or, as it's universally called, the PPF. We're going to break down exactly how it works and, honestly, why it's been a total favorite for over 5 decades.
So, have you ever stopped to wonder why pretty much every single financial planner out there recommends the PPF for long-term wealth? Well, it all boils down to what I like to call the holy grail question in personal finance. Can a single investment actually offer government-backed safety, totally tax-free returns, and guaranteed long-term wealth creation, all without the absolute stress of market volatility? The answer is a massive yes. And that's exactly why we're digging into it today.
Okay, let's get right into it. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Establishing the foundation. 2. Core features and mechanics. 3. The magic of EEE. 4. Maturity and flexibility. 5. Pros, cons, and comparisons. And 6. The final verdict for 2026.
Section 1. Establishing the foundation. What is the PPF?
Let's figure out exactly what this tool is meant to do for you, especially if you lean a bit conservative with your investments. The PPF is a long-term savings scheme set up by the government of India way back in 1968. The whole point was to encourage regular savings while keeping your capital completely safe. Now, unlike the stock market, the interest rate here is set by the government and gets revised every single quarter. That interest is calculated monthly, compounded annually, and locked in for 15 years. Which, let's be real, is basically the financial equivalent of raising a kid before you finally send them off into the world. But because it's directly backed by the government, it carries essentially zero credit risk. So, who actually gets to open one? It's super easy. You can open an account at major public sector banks, a bunch of private ones, or India Post branches. And yeah, most of them let you handle it all online. Any resident Indian individual can open one, and parents or guardians can even open them for their minor kids. But there are some pretty strict rules. You are only allowed one PPF account in your name, period. Also, if you're a non-resident Indian, you can't open a new account once you become an NRI, though if you already had one, it can just keep running until maturity. Oh, and Hindu undivided families, or HUFs, they aren't allowed to open new ones either. Honestly, one of the best things about the PPF is how incredibly accessible it is. To keep your account active, the absolute minimum you need to invest per financial year is just 500 rupees. That's it. It means literally anyone, from a college student to a business owner, can keep an account going. On the flip side of that, the absolute maximum you can deposit in a single financial year is 1.5 lakh rupees. And you've got total flexibility here. You can drop it all in as one big lump sum, or break it into monthly or quarterly chunks, whatever works for you. Actually, a lot of successful investors just set up an auto debit for a fixed amount every month. It builds serious financial discipline without you even having to think about it. All right, Section 2, Core Features and Mechanics, the engine. Okay, so how exactly does your money grow once it's locked inside? Let's pop the hood on a specific mechanic that honestly so many beginners completely miss. Think of this as an insider tip to absolutely maximize your returns. Like we said, the government sets the rate quarterly and it compounds annually. But, and this is a huge but, that interest is calculated every single month based on the lowest balance in your account between the 5th day and the end of the month. So here's the golden rule. Always, always make your deposit before the 5th of the month. If you deposit on, say, the 6th, you are literally missing out on the interest for that specific contribution for the entire month. Don't let that happen. Section 3. The magic of EEE. Tax-free growth. If you ever ask a financial expert why they are so obsessed with the PPF, they're going to point right to this. The legendary EEE tax status. It is basically the financial unicorn of wealth creation. EEE stands for exempt, exempt, exempt. Let's break this down real quick. First, it's exempt at investment. Every single rupee you invest, up to that 1.5 lakh limit, gets you a tax deduction under Section 80C. Second, it's exempt during growth. All that beautiful compounding interest you earn every year, completely tax-free. You pay zero income tax on it. And third, it is exempt at maturity. When you hit that 15-year finish line, the whole maturity amount, the principal plus all that compounded interest, comes right back to you 100% tax-free under current rules. It is hands down one of the most remarkably tax-efficient products in the entire country. Section 4. Maturity and flexibility. Beyond 15 years. Now, I know a 15-year lock-in sounds super daunting to a lot of people, So what actually happens when you cross the finish line? Well, you've got three distinct choices. Option one is the easiest. Just withdraw your entire maturity amount entirely tax-free and use it for whatever you want. Option two, though, is incredibly powerful. You can extend the account indefinitely in blocks of 5 years and keep making fresh contributions. This lets your money just ride that massive wave of tax-free compounding. And finally, option three lets you extend the account without putting in any new money at all. Your accumulated balance just sits there, peacefully earning interest. A lot of smart investors use these 5-year extensions specifically to build a massive, totally tax-free retirement corpus.
But wait, what if life happens and you have a genuine emergency before those 15 years are up? Is your money just completely trapped? Actually, no. While you generally can't withdraw everything before maturity, the PPF does allow partial withdrawals after a specific lock-in period. Even cooler, it has a unique loan facility. You can actually take out a loan against your own balance during certain eligible periods at a set interest rate. You're basically borrowing from yourself instead of breaking your long-term investment. Plus, under the law, your PPF balance is generally protected from being attached by creditors in a lot of situations. So it adds this really brilliant layer of security to your net worth.
Moving on to Section 5, Pros, Cons, and Comparisons, the showdown. We've hyped up the benefits a lot, but any smart investor knows that no single investment is absolutely perfect. We have to look at the real-world trade-offs. Let's compare the PPF to a traditional bank fixed deposit. The PPF is backed by the government, making it incredibly safe, whereas an FD is backed by a bank. The PPF forces you into long-term discipline with that 15-year tenure, while FDs let you be super flexible with your timelines. But where the PPF absolutely crushes it is tax efficiency. Tax-free interest and maturity versus FD interest, which is generally taxable based on your slab. That said, the FD definitely wins on liquidity. If you need easy, immediate access to your cash, the PPF's strict lock-in makes it pretty weak for short-term needs. Another matchup we see all the time is the PPF versus equity mutual funds. We've got to look at this impartially. The PPFs gives you guaranteed safety, tax-free returns, and literally zero market volatility. But remember, the government reviews that interest rate, so future returns aren't locked in forever, and they might not beat equity over the long run. Equity mutual funds, on the other hand, carry a lot more risk and market volatility, but historically, they've delivered higher average returns over very long periods. But here's the reality. These two aren't enemies. They don't compete. They complement each other. One is your anchor of absolute safety, and the other is your engine for aggressive growth.
All right, finally, Section 6, the final verdict, 2026. So after 50 years, does this scheme still hold its weight? Well, before I give you the final verdict, you have got to avoid these common mistakes. First, do not invest after the 5th of the month and lose out on that interest. Second, do not treat this as a short-term tool. Third, please don't forget your 500 rupee minimum annual contribution because you will get penalized. Fourth, don't just dump money in for the ATC tax savings without actually mapping it to a long-term goal. And finally, the biggest one, do not ignore asset allocation. Don't put all your savings into this one single product just because it feels safe.
So is the PPF still worth it in 2026? Look, if you value safety, government backing, highly tax-efficient returns, and stable compounding for something like retirement, the PPF is still one of the absolute best investment options available in India. Financial planning isn't about finding one magical, perfect investment. It's about building the right mix for your goals and your risk tolerance. With its EEE status and safety profile, the PPF wholeheartedly deserves a spot in a well-diversified portfolio. Which leaves us with one final crucial thought for your own financial journey. Are you truly maximizing your tax-free growth right now? Or are you leaving money on the table by ignoring boring, dependable tools like the PPF? Really think about how it fits into your long-term wealth creation. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and as always, keep learning.